So as far as I can tell, mech guns in an orc list are kind of a requirement. Many people consider the tractor cannon to be one of the best anti-flyer guns in the game. They are, however, quite expensive. So in the UK at least, retail price for a single mech gun, albeit it can make one of 4 variants, is £28. Now as far as I can tell, the kit doesn't actually contain one of the Lobba gun variants. So if we go and look at Forge World, this is the Forge World Lobba model. So you either have to pay £19 for a Lobba on its own, albeit it does come with some decent looking grots as well. But it's too much, I think. If you're going to field a squadron of 5 or a unit of 5 times 30 quid, that's nearly, 130 to 140 pounds. That's too much for the amount of plastic you're getting. So I looked at this and decided I'd have a go at making a scratch built one myself. So here's where I started. These are the ends of an axle off a truck, and you can see the truck wheels that I'm going to use up there. So in the truck kit that I had, instead of using all 6 wheels, I just used 4, and it actually looks pretty good as well, the truck does. And the the chassis that I'm making is just out of sprue. So from there, I'm using 2mm plasticard for most of this build, or all the scratch bits anyway. I drew out the chassis shape that I wanted, and that's kind of based off what I can see in this. So looking at this base here, seeing that it goes slightly in and then out, and the claws on each corner come off at an angle from the main platform. So that's the piece cut out, and here we can see the piece stuck onto the chassis with the wheels. Now because the axle to the wheel is just basically butt jointed on here, it wasn't very strong, and I did end up reinforcing that. Now with other bits out of the truck kit, so I've only used bits out of the truck kit. This is where the machine gunner or the shooter guy would stand, the bottom of that sort of sponson thing. That's the fuel tank off the main chassis of the truck, and then there's a bit that attaches to the engine on the other side. This might look like plasticard, but this is the beginning of the Lobba barrel, so I'm trying to duplicate sort of a mix between this platform with this gun style. So you can see that it's a tube with half of it cut off for where the ammunition rests. This is a dry white marker pen that I've cut down, not plasticard. Again, using more bits off the truck, I started to flesh this out. I thought it was kind of cool to have the top of that sponson, the gunner sponson, as sort of like an aiming thing on the end of it. Underneath is one of the what do they call them? The attack plank things, assault plank. I forget what they're called. The fan off the engine and the winch that goes somewhere on here. Now I've used a bit more plasticard to mount this to the chassis. These bits of plastic are actually the skids off a Defcopter turned upside down and stuck to the underside, and they're sort of the beginnings of the claw construction. And that white bit that you can see coming out of the end is actually the end of the dry white marker where the nib is. So continue to add more stuff. Here's the exhaust stack from the truck, a thing from the truck, I have no idea what they are. The pivots for that platform that I've used underneath the gun, and then I've chopped the spike bits off the end of this platform to use as the claws that go on the ground. I believe this is the front of a Death Dread, one of the options that you get for the sort of face of the Death Dread. I've started to build up the plasticard around the side as well to try and imitate this bit here. bit more work done now. So the outer shielding, to try and mimic this outer shielding here. I just started building the base construction. And now I've made an orky pass, adding various bits and glyphs and spikes to make it look a bit more orky. And then the final thing, added some accoutrement like stick bombs, a proper glyph from the set. After that, I've actually gone, and I'll show you in a second, and made all of the edges all chipped and battered up. So here's the finished item. As you can see, on the edges I've done some weathering and chipping to make the whole thing a bit more battered looking. I'll give you a better look at the other side as well. So whilst it's not a direct reproduction, I couldn't find bits enough to do the same style claws on the back, but I think it's good enough anyway. It looks like it should, and certainly when it's all painted up, I think it will fit right in. I tried to get as close as possible to the sort of scale, and I used the wheels as my reference point, figuring that if the wheels in the kit from the mech gun were roughly truck wheel sized, I just scaled everything up from there, so it's roughly 3 wheels in length, 2 wheels in height, that kind of thing.